For more than 5 decades, John Travolta has existed as both a cultural icon and a deeply private individual. Audiences know him for his effortless charisma, his unforgettable dance moves, and a career that has moved through dramatic highs and reinventions. Yet behind the confident public image has always been a man navigating a far more complex emotional world. Fame brought him admiration, but it also came with relentless attention that never truly faded. Over time, the distance between the public figure and the private person grew wider. As he entered his 70s, Travolta began making choices that quietly reflected a shift in priorities. Rather than chasing relevance or validation, he appeared increasingly focused on stability, reflection, and family. His life today feels less defined by Hollywood expectations and more by personal intention, suggesting a man learning how to exist on his own terms after decades of living under a microscope. A faith that once offered direction. Travolta's connection to Scientology began when he was just 21 years old, at a time when his future was uncertain and his career still forming. Like many young actors searching for confidence and clarity, he found structure and reassurance in a belief system that promised personal growth. Over the years, he spoke openly about how it helped him manage anxiety and self-doubt. Alongside his wife, Kelly Preston, he became one of the church's most visible celebrity members. Their involvement appeared steady and unquestioned for decades. However, faith is rarely static, especially when life introduces unexpected loss. What once felt grounding can begin to feel different when tested by grief. In Travolta's case, the role Scientology played in his life seemed to evolve quietly, not through confrontation, but through subtle distance and silence during moments when people expected familiar expressions of loyalty. The loss that changed everything. The death of Travolta's son, Jet, in 2009, marked a defining moment that reshaped his life permanently. Jet had lived with medical challenges, including seizures, and the family had learned to manage those realities privately. Losing a child is an experience that defies language, and for Travolta, the pain was compounded by public exposure. Grief unfolded under intense scrutiny, with speculation and commentary replacing compassion in many corners. Despite the noise, he and Kelly focused on protecting their family and honoring their son's memory. Friends later described Travolta as deeply shaken, struggling to imagine a future after such a devastating loss. The tragedy didn't just alter his emotional landscape, it shifted how he approached fame, privacy, and vulnerability. From that point forward, the weight he carried became quieter, heavier, and profoundly personal. Grief under public pressure. Unlike most parents, Travolta was forced to mourn while navigating headlines, legal proceedings, and unwanted attention. The extortion case that followed Jet's death revealed how exposed he truly was during his most fragile moment. While the case eventually concluded, the experience left lasting emotional scars. It reinforced the reality that privacy was a luxury he could never fully reclaim. Throughout this period, Travolta remained composed in public, rarely offering insight into his pain. That restraint was not emotional distance, but self-preservation. People close to him later shared that he became more guarded, more selective, and less willing to explain himself to the world. The ordeal deepened his understanding of how vulnerable fame could make even the most powerful figures. It also quietly reshaped how he chose to protect the people he loved most. Kelly Preston, his constant anchor. Kelly Preston was far more than Travolta's wife. She was his partner in navigating fame, tragedy, and the unpredictable rhythm of Hollywood life. Together, they built a family grounded in shared values and mutual support. When Kelly passed away in 2020 after a private battle with breast cancer, the loss was seismic. Travolta's public tribute focused on gratitude for medical care and family support, notably absent of references many had come to expect. Observers noticed the shift immediately. Losing Kelly meant losing the one person who had walked beside him through every chapter of his adult life. She understood the pressures he carried and helped him shoulder them. Her death didn't just leave an emotional void, it dismantled the support system that had quietly sustained him for decades. A subtle redefining of faith. After Kelly's passing, Travolta's relationship with Scientology appeared to grow quieter rather than confrontational. He didn't criticize it, nor did he publicly step away. Instead, his silence spoke volumes. He stopped centering it in public moments, choosing instead to focus on family, healing, and personal balance. Friends suggested that grief forced him to reevaluate what truly supported him emotionally. Faith, like identity, can evolve after profound loss. In Travolta's case, the shift seemed less about rejection and more about reorientation. The absence from high-profile events and the change in language surrounding personal milestones suggested a man reassessing what role belief should play moving forward. These choices weren't announcements, they were boundaries, drawn quietly and deliberately. Finding stability in simplicity. In recent years, Travolta's life has taken on a noticeably calmer rhythm. He spends more time at home, embraces routine, and prioritizes presence over performance. Flying remains a passion, offering him moments of peace away from public attention. Cooking, family trips, and simple daily rituals now define his world more than red carpets or premieres. His social media reflects this change, highlighting small joys rather than professional milestones. Friends describe him as more grounded and reflective, someone who values emotional safety over external approval. This simplicity is not withdrawal, it's intention. After decades of living at full volume, Travolta appears to have chosen a quieter frequency, one that allows space for healing, connection, and personal growth without constant explanation. A father first, always today. Travolta's identity is rooted firmly in fatherhood. His relationship with his children, Ella and Benjamin, shapes nearly every decision he makes. He supports Ella's artistic journey with pride, encouraging her independence without overshadowing her achievements. With Benjamin, he is deeply present, embracing everyday moments that once passed unnoticed. Conversations about life, loss, and growth now define their bond. Friends note that Travolta approaches parenting with patience and tenderness shaped by experience. After losing Jet and Kelly, these moments carry profound meaning. He is no longer rushing through life. Instead, he's fully inhabiting it, understanding that time is fragile and connection irreplaceable. Fatherhood isn't just a role he plays, it's the foundation of his current life. Worker without the pressure to prove professionally, Travolta continues to work, but without the urgency that once defined his career. He selects projects that interest him rather than chasing reinvention or acclaim. The need to prove relevance has faded, replaced by creative curiosity and balance. His appearances feel relaxed, his performances unburdened by expectation. He embraces nostalgia when it feels joyful, not obligatory. Fans have noticed the difference. There's a warmth to him now that feels less guarded, more authentic. By stepping away from relentless ambition, Travolta has reclaimed agency over his career. Work is no longer the centerpiece of his identity. It's simply one part of a fuller, more intentional life. A quiet truth, lived not declared. At 71, John Travolta isn't offering grand revelations or dramatic statements. His truth is lived quietly, reflected in the choices he makes rather than the words he shares. He has redefined success, faith, and identity on his own terms, shaped by loss, resilience, and love. The evolution hasn't been sudden or loud. It's unfolded gradually, through absence, silence, and redirection. Rather than explaining himself, Travolta allows his life to speak for him. What remains is a man no longer chasing approval, but peace. In stepping back from expectations, he has stepped closer to himself. And in doing so, he's shown that reinvention doesn't always require spectacle. Sometimes it simply requires honesty, patience, and the courage to live differently.